Hello my friends and welcome back to another episode of City Skylines numero 2, where I have been playing this game for hours in between this episode and the last, and I've been working on this area, and you might notice something strikingly different about our city. It is the autumnal trees that have been planted in this area and a new building off in the distance. This, my friends, is a paper mill, a special building that I unlocked by creating lots of forestry industry in the area. It's got an industrial efficiency boost of 5%, and it is absolutely massive compared to the size of other buildings around here. So as you know, we can create specialized industry, and we had a lot of trees in this area, so that was good for forestry. I've gone and hooked up a load of plots, or yards, maybe you would call them. I was looking for a way to add details, so I put in all of these paths, and as you can see, the area one side is our forestry area with slightly different coloured grass to the outside, and then we've got a whole bunch of these buildings dotted around the place. So with our grid of roads already in place, I just decided to leave them there and dedicate these spaces to the forestry industry. It looks really cool. Now, what about those autumnal trees? They were not here last time around, and now the city probably looks and feels a little bit different because of this change in colour. Well, there was a patch to the game, and this patch changed a bunch of things, introducing these new autumnal trees, but also messing with the numbers of the game. As you can see, we're now losing money. And I think this could be a bug, because I figured out where the money has disappeared to. If you look at how much money industry is making here, it is ridiculously low. I think office might have gone the same way as well. This is about 5% of what it was making in a previous episode. So if it wasn't obvious, I have been playing a beta version of the game, so things are still being updated and patched, and I'm hoping for a hotfix soon, because we are going to steadily lose money at this rate. But as you'll see from the happiness meter here, everything in the city is doing pretty well. And we do have a stockpile of cash, and it doesn't drain too quickly, so we should be good to continue playing at this pace for some time. So I can show you what I've been up to. I've actually been building more schools in the city because these ones had started to fill up. Wow, that one's getting close too, and it's fully upgraded. There was also a bug that stopped citizens going to the high school, and now that the game's been running for a while, seems that this hasn't caught up yet, but in the future we're going to have more students coming to the high school. So we may need another one somewhere. We'll figure that out when we get to it. Perhaps we'll build it in this space around these two spots. Yes, our college and our university, now equipped with autumnal trees, looking absolutely gorgeous. I've redesigned this area to make it look more interesting, and we're kind of short on like little prop type buildings you can put down around these to make them look more interesting. So I've been zoning out office spaces, but there is like zero demand for offices. And I have been expanding the population and residential a little bit. As you can see, I decided to add some like village country type roads around here. It just feels like you need something to break up the grid from time to time. And yeah, I did plan on finishing the grid all the way off into the distance, but it just takes so long to place down all of these roads. And I've been doing something that you might have noticed, which is renaming a lot of places. Like this is South Residential, then we have South Central Residential, over here North Central Residential, and up here North Residential. And for a small grid like this, that's probably fine. However, it becomes more tricky when you try and spread it across a whole island, because there's going to be more blocks that want to be, you know, west, and then west-west and furthest west. And I have spent even more time renaming our bus routes too. The red lines are as follows. We've got South East West, then Central East West, and North East West. And due to the way I've laid out the island around here, that's going to continue. You can see we've got one artery at the top, another one in the middle, one at the south. But then when it comes to our north to south lines, it gets a little trickier to give them those sort of east and west and central types of names. So this one over here is Forestry North-South. Next to it is the Western North-South. Then we have Bridge North-South. And that's because it links to the bridge over here. Central North-South and Mulberry North-South. So this one has been named after this villagey area next to the campus. And that's where we're going to need more area names over in this space, so that we can then name the bus lines after them. And there's a couple of other ones here, like Office Commercial Connect, that just describes what it connects you to. And all of that was something I just did not think about at the beginning of this. Naming them all is really satisfying, but you need a good plan to explain what the lines are. And my favourite ones are definitely the red lines that run east to west. And in case it isn't obvious, I've just decided that north is in this direction, And I have no idea if the game's got a way of telling you which way is actually north. Now I have big plans, and there is a big tornado over here I've just learned, but let's not let that distract us. This intersection right here I brought the land rights to. I plan on rebuilding it and building a secondary bridge over to this spot. This one has a train line too, so we could bring train traffic across to the island. But before we do that, I think I would like to focus our attention up here. I had a good time building the mill and expanding the industry over here. As you'll see, this area is called Port End Northwest. I would like to take advantage of the seas we have here. And if we go into the transportation tab, to water, it says the harbour services provide the city with both passenger and cargo ship facilities. I did not get to touch any of this stuff in my last playthrough, so this is going to be a learning experience for me. At this end, we're going to build a cargo harbour, and I'm not surprised to see it's absolutely massive. Okay, we're going to go ahead and plop it down there, and that unlocks the big city milestone. Good news, we unlock absolutely nothing. I think this might be the part in the game where there's no more to unlock except the loan limit. By the way, I've never touched our loan either. What's this? We have some seaways out here in the ocean. Looks like we're going to have to buy a few more tiles. Oh, when I zoom out, you can see that there's like a wide one here, and then the two sort of join into this intersection. So I have little knowledge of how the traffic flows through here. This T-junction might be a little sharp, not too good for the traffic, but I guess we'll find out. And then around here we want to have another T-like junction, I guess. Now there's also this cargo ship route tool. Is it possible for me to connect that with this thing all the way over here at the edge of the map? Ah, and then it can come all the way back again, right. Now it looks like we're going to have some overlapping lanes here, but I'm going to take this one in the other direction. Yep, we're going to connect with that. It's also called Bigfoot. Right, and then we're going to come back in this way. Now, what I suspect is going to happen is that ships come in, bringing in cargo. We can import, we can export. It should just help with all of those mechanics in the city. This is right next to the industry area too, so we might see some traffic from industry heading up onto these roads. So my first semi-truck pulled in, Oceanport Pharmacies. Is this like, if I click on that, aha, it came from over here. Right, excellent. And we can see it's got 40 tons of pharmaceuticals too. And now it's storing this stuff. This wasn't here a second ago, by the way. I've been pausing and unpausing the game, looking at what's going in. So things are coming over here and dropping this off, and then there's a heck of a lot of storage. So I'm guessing at some point something comes in and it's looking to pick something up. Right, so this one came from Piketon and it's completely empty. Can you show me where that is? Okay, it's just another city off in the distance. Oh, and we got more ships coming over here, and we got ship traffic. And the ships, well, you know, that wouldn't have gone very well, IRL, would it? Okay, this one here is going to empty off its cargo, and it's just going to disappear if it does what the other one did a moment ago. Right, and then these are all coming out of here because of the cargo being unloaded. There you go, it just vanished. What I'm yet to see is one to come in empty and then leave with some cargo. Yeah, like this one here is leaving and it's empty. Anyways, I think it's just time to leave the game running and to do some observations. It'd be interesting to see how this impacts traffic in this area. It was already very low because there's not too many buses coming up here and not a lot of peeps are traveling over here to work. Yeah, like these roads here, for example, are some of the busier types. In fact, there seems to be way more traffic than usual down here. Got an army of motorbikes rolling through the city. Is this like a biker gang? I can explain this rather easily. Every time we expand, we get an inbound flow of traffic coming across the bridge and going through our network. This makes sense because people are moving into the city, but once all of these cars reach their destination, then the traffic calms down again. And the reason we're seeing a ton of traffic right now is because of the demand down here. We are in prime mode to develop the city. But the area I've been developing is all the way over the back here, where we've had demand for the highest type of residential. This has led to the construction of these ridiculously tall towers and also an insane amount of cars coming into the area. When you go up and down these streets, you just see the cars are parked all over the place. Our car parks here are full as well. We've got like 3 in this area, I think. And so this led me to create like a strip of car parks out the back of these areas, and we're actually going to get rid of the parking on the street. Not really sure if there's much of an advantage to that. It's purely just an aesthetic thing for me. And also, I kind of think these towers are a little too tall for the area around them. So what we should probably do is develop more at this sort of height. So it feels like the biggest ones are about 4 wide. This one right here is more like 5. And then you've got some 3s and 2s that look more for the height we want to get. So for this side here, I want to zone it out like so. We're just going to make them 2 wide, leave a gap of 2, and sort of do these one at a time. But of course, we don't have the demand for the highest density right now, but we do have tons of demand for office. And we built a cluster of office towers before. Let's just imagine we can do the same thing with the next ones we're going to zone. So high density offices, and a similar tactic, we're just going to do every other and then come back and fill them in later. Now when these are finally built, it should create some jobs that then in turn means there's some more space for more residents. So yeah, it tends to fluctuate a little bit. You create some offices, you have more jobs, and then you bring in residents to fill those jobs. However, our unemployment rate right now is 7.8%. That is the lowest I've ever seen it. And now is probably a great time to mention that we're actually making money. If you look over here, it gives us a negative number, but the number keeps going up. So we're doing something right. I wonder if it has something to do with the car parks, because we've been charging $10 to park, and obviously the way our city is laid out, we tend to fill these up. And considering the game doesn't have a crazy amount of assets for you to customize areas and stuff with, it's nice to just do something a little experimental. So between this area and the offices that we're going to put behind it, we're just going to have like a row of car parks. And I have observed that cars can actually go through it, sort of like it's a road. Okay, I think I got it. Like that. Let's close this. It should be that it connects on both sides, although this actually has a fence around it. Ah, look. Okay, the small one has a fence around the outside, so there's one way in and out, but the medium one is just kind of open. You can literally see cars coming in at different points and leaving. So despite there being like an entrance here, they actually just connect at any point. So I've gone ahead and replaced those with the medium size and kind of realized that because of where the lines are, they might not actually drive out onto the road at the other side. But if you watch it, you can actually see them sort of coming in at one car park and then driving over straight into a different one. I don't know, it looks kind of weird. Right, and one of the things we want to achieve here is having the size of the skyscrapers we got kind of like come down from this middle point on this side so it blends better with the offices that we're going to build behind it. So the game is paused, we have issues, and I was planning on doing a jump ahead in time, show you the progress thing. But anyway, the bigger issue is power in certain parts of the city, and I found the problem. It's over here. We have a bottleneck issue. And a moment ago, I wasn't actually sure what we were going to do when we get over here. Like, how do I suss out what the problem is? But now that I've come back again, I've realized that these cables here have been highlighted. So we have a bottleneck, meaning that we need more cables to bring power out of the area. So let's go ahead and drag a connection like across to this spot. And what you'll see I've done is I've created like a doubling up going across that way and then a doubling up with this one here. So we go ahead and resume, and well, that seemed to take care of it. Awesome. We are growing fast. I've now hit large city. Again, just the loan limit, that's all you unlock. And as you'll see, it is possible to shape the skyline somewhat with your development choices. I've done away with some of what we built over here with the offices and separated that into this block. Rather than space them out like this, when your demand is high, what you want to do is just create the block. Let's say we go for that size, and immediately something is being built, so then you can build the one next to it. And it's good just to put in a bit of forced variety like so. And then around the edges, as you get towards the end, you kind of want to mix in some of the lower density stuff. So now we'll put in a few blocks of this, and then as we get to the edge, we make some of those blocks smaller. And then when we skip ahead in time, we can see the results of that. Also, the car park is just absolutely mad. It's like a road of its own. There's always cars going through it. Utterly ridiculous. Anyways, this has started to feel like a little bit of a distraction. We will continue with the development of this skyline. But what I want to do next is actually get to that intersection and bridge that we talked about at the beginning of this episode. Just before we do, quick happiness check. Our internet service is looking good. But I noticed something I didn't notice before. You can actually upgrade the signal on these. So there's one to increase the bandwidth, and then there is another to increase the range. Since we are swimming in money, I'm just going to like upgrade all of the antennas and see what it does for us. Okay, looking much better now, but rather typically, I think of putting an extra one here in the middle, and I'm reminded that we can unlock the telecom tower, and that'll cost us 4 of our 56 progression points. We may end up redoing all of our towers after that. If I go ahead and put this one here, it's not the prettiest looking thing to have in the middle of the area. Yeah, this one over here is way more subtle. Oh my goodness me, now the whole island is green? Wow. Okay, we might just knock out some of these other ones and just have the one in the middle. So now the entire city is basically covered by these 3 telecom towers. Anyway, that was a pleasant distraction. There are so many in this game, but now let's get back to the task at hand, which is intersections. This is going to be a little costly because we have both highways and large roads before we unlock intersections. Also, this feels very timely. The Grand Bridge, a magnificent bridge that will be the landmark of the city. And this might just be what it looks like. We've got a shipping lane right here in the middle to deal with, though. That'll be a challenge. We also unlocked large roads, which give you the 6th lane and then a whole bunch of different options to go with it too. And that includes another couple of bridge types as well. I think I preferred the Grand Bridge to that one. The highway also comes with a bunch of bridge types. The thing here is that we probably want a highway going across that distance. You see, these highways have the higher speed limits, so we'll be able to move traffic through and across quicker. Oh, and now that I zoom in, you can see that the Grand Bridge, first of all, it's not a highway, but it's definitely more decorative. Maybe we could do that to have, like, a bridge out to one of these little islands. There's one over there, there's another one over here. Oh, and I can't actually buy this. Look, that's the edge of the playable area. Huh, so I guess it will have to be the one on the other side. But anyways, we have unlocked many things, including a sound barrier, and it says that you can use this on highways, so you can see it's clearly going to add one to the side of the road. And I wanted to know if it works on other road types. I think the answer is no, because nothing's happening when we pop them over. There is also the option to upgrade some of our existing roads, which would allow more traffic to come through. If we did a 6-lane road, it would offset it. If we did an 8-lane road, we could actually place this like right in the middle and have it continue to go through the city, I think. Here's something that I miss. In the original City Skylines, we had a mod that allowed you to move parts. So rather than building a parallel bridge, you could just, adjust the supports and position them somewhere else. But it looks like I'm going to have to do an entirely new one. Also, will we keep our bus routes? Okay, let's upgrade that section. Wow, that's a big change. Yes, look at that. It stays. Wonderful. Well, okay, look at that. We are getting ready for some advanced road mechanics here because we have an issue down at the bottom. Okay, the issue at hand is actually traffic lights, so just need to remove those. But if we whiz around here, you can see there's a couple of right-hand turns that we don't want. So we just need to upgrade the road type. It gives you a preview, and you can see that now all of the traffic merges into the center. On the opposite side, though, they're not central. I don't know if there's a way to tweak that or not. But the obvious thing is now we need like a 4-lane highway, or better yet, a 1-way 4-lane. And then that's going to mess up everything behind it. And then what about the bridge? Might have to rebuild this thing too. Ah, this is what we want, a 4-lane highway, 1-way. So yes, we're going to build that from here over to here, going both in and out. We want to create a large bandwidth of traffic. The issue is that the default roads are just too wide, which is not enough. So I have this theory that there's got to be a way to upgrade that. So we're going to go and buy all the tiles that lead over to the edge of the map. Ah, yeah, look at that. When we use our upgrade tool, there's going to be space here. Okay, so I think I want to do this so that we pick the furthest side. As you can see, it kind of snaps to the cells of the map. And basically, we don't want to run out of room. So this game is very unforgiving with this stuff. It feels this has been really nicely designed. It just takes a little bit of experimentation to get used to. But once you understand this stuff, you can see it's really nice for upgrading roads. There's also a drag feature as well, and I'd be a little bit worried that when you drag across, you might end up with it upgrading like the wrong side. So let's go and do a big section. That's all the way across. Let go. Yeah, it's done that perfectly. So if ever we generate a lot of traffic demand from outside of the city, we're going to be able to support it with these really wide roads. This is so cool. And it leads us up to our intersection where I believe I'm going to need some more space. Now, how we're going to do this, I'm not entirely sure, because we have unlocked the intersections now. That was one of the upgrades that we brought. and it gives us a variety of different types, some in varying different sizes. And we're going to want one that's upgradable for our needs. We're basically looking for a T-junction here. Wow, that one is absolutely massive. No, what am I talking about? A T-junction? Like this here might sort of be applicable. Okay, and then you got this type. The problem here is that it's not really going to line up with our plans for bringing the bridge in. So I might have to build my own custom interchange, and I do not know how that is going to go down. So I planned on recording a time-lapse, and the whole job took me about 50 minutes and was just insanely difficult to really edit down into something decent. But using this as a blueprint, I came up with this right here. You can see how it follows the same principles and how we've kind of shifted it or warped it to fit our parameters. And when we zoom in, there's a few connections that aren't quite perfect, but a lot of it is really good. And I found this surprisingly easy to do once I knew what I was looking for. What are you doing? Wait, is that road maintenance? Okay, that makes sense. So creating like a time lapse wasn't the way to show you how to do this. There were definitely like key points where I'm creating these curves and there's some tips that I can share with you. So I figured maybe what we'd do in a future episode, maybe even the next one, is rebuild this intersection, turn it into a junction like this that goes off in that direction, because for the future expansion we want to take over some of this space and we're definitely going to need that. Now as you can see, the power lines are a little bit ugly, and then the rail, I just made it go underground. So if we press B for bulldozer and then shift it into the underground view, apparently I forgot to build a track here. I should also mention that I had to unlock trains in order to be able to edit this. Kind of looks like the junction there is going to be a little bit strange. Let's hope that it works. But in order to build a train station or a cargo train terminal, we have to build a rail yard. And this thing is just like crazy big. Yeah, like look at the size of it. It will be the biggest thing that we plop down in our city. I'm even considering maybe we just leave it over in this area. Oh, and let's check out the bridge, which I might demolish and rebuild for various reasons. But alongside it, I've got a train track as well. It all converges into an 8-lane road that then goes into the city. Which, by the way, is doing just fine. Still struggling with a couple of bubbles here and there, but for the most part, they've drifted down. The city is being well maintained. It's making lots of money. And this area over here looks incredible. Alright, I'll be back soon with another one. Leave a like if you enjoyed this. Subscribe if you want to catch future videos. And I'll see you again with some more City Skylines. Bye-bye.